Folks, I want to talk about the $100,000 mistake that homeowners and sellers in this market are making. In fact, if I was calculating and looking at all of these things that we're evaluating, anything from not updating it, poor maintenance, not overpricing the property, ignoring maybe the curb appeal, and maybe chasing the market as opposed to pricing it correctly, I will tell you it's probably closer to 7, 8, 900,000 on just the people that I've evaluated or the properties that I've looked at or even properties that we've made offers on as buyers. But in looking at those, I want you to consider the facts and consider the following. When you're looking at your property, I want you to think about the following things. What does need to be updated? What do I need to do to bring it to market value? If there's maintenance, safety issues, we got to make sure we're just taking care of those issues. If there's poor maintenance or there's poor problems, we need to make sure we're investing into those items to bring it to a value where the buyers are going to evaluate it as if it's a true market value. Because if not, if it has poor maintenance, if it doesn't have the updates that are true to market value, the buyer, the agent, and the appraiser will devalue it compared to the rest of the competition on the market. My suggestion to you is don't go through and spend and do things that are not a big bang for your buck. Do the maintenance and safety items and the updates that would be recommended to you to do the biggest bang for your buck. What are those items? You can go back through some of our videos, but just simple things. Everything from front door mats, front doors, garage doors, paint, carpet. Some of those things that are like, if they're flawed, we may need to make an adjustment to bring it to the market. Otherwise, sometimes they just need to be cleaned, they need to be polished. It's just not a maintenance issue, okay? Moving on, overpricing. Folks, in a market where you have inventory that is higher compared to the previous year, buyers have choices. So when you're overpricing a property, what we're essentially doing is we're helping the competition sell and we're getting more days on market. And as more days on market will absolutely kill your value every single time. Think about it. If you saw the absolute perfect property in the market and it was overpriced and you said, you know what? I like that property. I'm just going to wait. Oftentimes, if you find the perfect property, you may take a look at it. You can't justify the price. And over time, guess what happens is nobody else is essentially evaluating it or everybody else is thinking the same thing. Once that adjustment is made, they've already either looked at more properties, more competition on the market has sold, and number three, which is probably one of the most important dynamics to consider, what's the likelihood somebody's going to make a full price offer on a property that's been sitting 30, 40, 50, 60, 90, 120 days? They're just not. And so what we end up finding is that when their market is adjusting through interest rates, through inventory, through available homes, that when we're overpricing it, it essentially is taking it out of the competition. Many people ask, well, why aren't they just making an offer? Folks, why would they make an offer on a property where they're saying, if you love this property, look at the other 10 that are priced, that are maybe better homes and better locations and better areas with a better price. It just is helping the competition sell. And finally, let's not ignore the curb appeal of the property and making sure that we're presenting it in the best light. Folks, I just want to talk about those 4 things that we've talked about in other videos. Curb appeal, kitchens, baths, and amenities. Let's just make sure you're evaluating it. You know, there's a property we evaluated that they're taking advantage of our 10,000 renovation program. What is that? It's a program we use where people are saying, look, I don't maybe have the cash on hand, but I know some things need to be done. So we invest money into the property and then we're paid back at closing. Why do we do that? Because we want them to maximize the value, and we know with a little investment, a flawed item can now become something that's attractive. And so, you know, when you evaluate something that has weeds and that it's rough and it maybe doesn't look good, and then you look at the perceived value, once it's adjusted with a little bit of work, a little bit of money, a little bit of change, how much more money would you end up spending for that? How much more would a buyer pay when they're saying, this is somewhere where I can bring my friends, bring my family, versus, man, this thing's going to be a lot of work. And what we're finding is when you have the average price of properties exceeding over 500,000 in the Salt Lake Metro, right? Over 600,000. You know, some people have enough for the down payment, but they don't have enough money for all of the updates necessary. And so if you don't have the money for the updates, guess who you're targeting? Kind of maybe an investor, maybe somebody that's maybe not going to pay you top dollar. So as you're evaluating it, as you're looking at those things, the updates, the maintenance, the pricing, the curb appeal, now you essentially are attracting the market and you are not chasing it. So folks, if you're evaluating what you should do with your home, things you should consider, listen, give us a call. Happy to help you out, give you the information you're looking for. Looking forward to serving you. We've seen so many showings, so much activity. In 1 week alone, we just barely sold 7 homes in 1 week. And I'll tell you, that is a property, and that could be you. It just needs to be, make sure you're being strategic, we're being very intentional, and we're making sure we're doing the things in the process in order that you have the best results. Anyway, looking forward to serving you. Let us know if you need anything. Thank you. Bye.